Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, just Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. I hope you all had a great New Year's. I know it's been a hot minute since the last time you saw me pump out a video. It's been a couple of days. I was feeling under the weather and I had some family stuff going on. So I apologize for that, but I am back now. I will be back on the regular and we will have more to complain about, I'm sure. Well, actually, I know we will because just starting off with this video, it's already something to complain about. But anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you all had a great New Year's, and that 2023 is starting off in the best possible way that you could have possibly hoped for. So let's get right into it. This is actually a video short, and I'm gonna play it, okay, because it follows on with something that we've talked about here on this channel before, and that is this new Rings of Power based interpretation of things that we're all used to from the Peter Jackson adaptations or the books or whatever. And that suddenly, now that the Rings of Power has come out, it's given us all a new and alternate way of viewing things from within the established stories and the established lore. And one of the things that we covered in several other videos. As a matter of fact, I will bring them up here just real quick. There was this video that I did where the article by our favorite author, Miss Dodds, tried to change the meaning of Galadriel's famous lines of "I passed the test" and will diminish and go into the west and remain Galadriel. And she tried to sort of link that to the Galadriel from Rings of Power, and that somehow now the Galadriel from Rings of Power gives the correct meaning for that. And then I even did a second video where other online publications tried to go with the same thing. They tried to pick up this idea of how the Rings of Power, switches things around and gives us a new interpretation of what Galadriel meant. So fast forward to the other day, and I see this short come across my feed. And I could see that it's Galadriel and the name is there. So I think, oh, okay, this ought be interesting, right? And so I decided to check it out, and lo and behold, it is now another YouTube channel making the same argument, right? Making the same argument. So I'm gonna play this for you. It's a short, so I think it's only like 30 seconds or 60 seconds or something like that. And I'm gonna play it for you because they took the time to create this short, and if we're gonna sort of rip into it, we at least need to give them the airtime to air their opinion. So let's see what they have to say.
Mirror where Galadriel goes kind of crazy. When she calms down, she says,
I passed the test.
So she's not saying passed like I succeeded. She's saying pass. I passed the test. Pass as in give. I pass it to someone else, i.e. to Frodo. I misheard this line for years. Then even when I saw it in the books, because this is the line in the books, I just missed the difference in meaning. And it wasn't until I saw it with the subtitles that it all clicked. And it makes so much more sense this way. She says she's one of the rings so she can become this queen, treacherous as the dawn, etc., etc. All shall love me and despair. And then she calms down the movie. She laughs it off in the books. And she says basically, no, let someone else take the trial of handling all that power responsibly. I won't change and become more powerful and be this big scary queen of Middle-earth. I will diminish and go west and leave Middle-earth and remain Galadriel. Remain who I am, not change, just normal Galadriel. I want to make this short because literally everyone I told this to was shocked to hear that this was the line. Everyone mishears it. And the scene, as iconic and cool and mysterious as it is, it really doesn't make much sense if she's saying passes and succeeded, like got an A+. So go ahead and share this with anyone you think might have also misheard it, and check out my other Lord of the Rings content if you missed that last month. So this scene with the mirror where Galadriel goes kind of crazy.
Right. So there you have it. That's the short that I saw. And immediately, it raised the hair on the back of my neck and got my hackles in a bunch. Because, and again, I pointed this out with the two previous videos I did regarding Miss Dodd's article and the follow-up article from the other online publication, when they try to sell this idea. Okay, so let's get into the idea. The idea here is that Galadriel, when she says, I pass the test, and I, will diminish and go into the west and remain Galadriel, that what she is actually saying, according to proponents of this theory, this YouTube channel and those articles, is that what she's saying is, I'm giving this quest, this test, to you, Mr. Frodo Baggins. It has now become yours. I am offloading this desire, this test to defeat Sauron. I'm now giving that to you. You have that. That is a you thing now, right? And that's the gist of what they're trying to say. And okay, I know I tend to be a little blunt, but I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that one. Like I just am. Okay, now for clarity, let's make sure that we're all on the same page here. The individual that made this YouTube short, okay, I checked out his channel. Now, there's a couple of things I just want to highlight, okay? One, nothing that I say here should be taken as an attack on this person individually or personally. I don't know them. I'm not familiar with a lot of their work. You know, I skimmed through some of the videos. Once I saw this, I did look at some of his other Lord of the Rings based stuff. Some of which I'm like, okay, you're good there. But this particular one seemed to be the one that really jumped out, where I was just like, nah, son, like, no, thank you for the ability to create content off of you, because you're just wrong, and I'm going to point out how and why. But I don't want it to be taken as anyone to view it as what I'm saying to be an attack on this individual personally. Okay, it's not. I don't know the individual. Could be a great guy for all I know. Just we disagree on this particular issue, right? Okay. So now I will attack the argument all day, every day. I will attack a bad argument or a bad faith argument or misinformation. Okay, that's what I do on this channel, right? Because I'm a huge fan of Tolkien and his work, and when I see it, people attempting to bastardize interpretations or to spread misinformation or to sort of lead people to have this sort of pre-approved by Amazon view of everything Tolkien, I will challenge it, because I feel it needs to be. Tolkien's work should be taken at face value with what Tolkien presented. It should not be like, oh, well, we have a new show, so now that changes how things work. Okay, so now I have to say this, because I'm still a relatively small channel, right? I have like 623 subscribers as of making this video right now. If this person had put this out and their channel was, say, not necessarily smaller than mine. If it was smaller than mine, I probably, it wouldn't have even probably pinged my radar, to be honest with you. But even if they just had a couple of thousand subscribers, let's say 2,000-3,000 subscribers, I probably wouldn't have went in on the video challenging them. And my thought process behind that is because the damage would sort of be mitigated by the limited scope and reach of the video, because if you only have that amount of subscribers, your video tends to have limited amount of scope and reach. A perfect example is here on this channel. There were lots of things in the couple of weeks immediately following the season finale of Rings of Power. There was a couple of times, and for those of you guys who've been around from very early on know this, where I was pumping out videos about certain information that was coming out regarding Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and so on and so forth, super fast. Like, I was like the first one to get some stories out there, right, on YouTube. And then usually an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, or the next day, a lot of bigger channels that I also follow would report on the same thing, okay? And my videos over the course of a day might get 600, 1,000 views, right? And, considering all I had at the time, my subscriber count was, maybe 200, something like that. That was still damn good, right? But these other channels that were reporting the same story hours or a day after I had put it out, within an hour, their channels would get like 70,000 views on that story, right? And I understand that. I'm not complaining about sour grapes or anything like that. I'm just saying I understand that with your subscriber base and with the amount, the size of your channel and its subscriber base, your reach exponentially gets larger, right? So me with 623 subscribers and another channel that has 15,000 subscribers, if we do the same story exactly the same way and put them out at exactly the same time, their video is more than likely going to get more views because of the size of their channel. Right? That's just the way YouTube works. It's the way the system is designed. Okay. And so I'm not complaining about it. But the reason why I bring that up is, had the person that made this video had a smaller channel, I probably wouldn't have said anything because of the limit of reach that the channel would have. It would sort of mitigate the damage that could be done to Tolkien fandom. The problem is this individual has they have a really large channel, right? 170,000 plus subscribers, 170,000 plus subscribers. And that's impressive. And kudos to them for, whatever they're doing is working, right? So the reason why I'm doing this video is because, as the person even mentions in that video, it's like a lot of people that they mentioned this to were like, oh my God, like that's so wild. I never even thought of it like that and stuff like that. And you're spreading this misinterpretation or misinformation as to what is meant by those words that Tolkien wrote. And you have a very large channel, so that information can get out there in a very big way. It's basically the same thought process I have as to why I will call out articles like from Screen Rant or Bounding Into Comics that do the same thing. It's because if you're big enough, your reach is big enough, there is some damage that you can do to a fandom by putting out either misinterpretations or misinformation. So just to let you know, that's why I'm viewing it as I'm punching up, because I'm like the little guy here. And I'm sort of, I know I could be picking a fight with somebody who's exponentially magnitudes of order larger than me in terms of channel size. But I'm all about the Tolkien and keeping it real in terms of Tolkien and how his work is viewed and how it's represented and stuff like that. So I feel this is something I got to do. So that's why I just wanted to get that out there. So it's not a personal attack against the content creator. It's not me punching down at a smaller channel and saying, you're stupid, don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's me saying, hey, this is a misinterpretation. I think you're wrong. I will go into why you're wrong, but you have such a large channel that you're going to get that out there to a lot of people. And so I think it needs to be at least addressed by somebody, right? I know a lot of other channels don't do that. Maybe they're not as confrontational. Maybe, they're just like, hey, as long as you get the correct information out, that's good enough. But, coming from a media background, I know that you could get the correct information out all you want. If enough sources are putting out bad information, it will drown out the correct information. Okay, so I just want to be one of those people that says, no, here's where you're wrong. All right, so enough of that. Let's get into what's wrong with this video. What's wrong with this video is, as you guys probably already know, the whole concept of the phrase, I pass the test. The interpretation, which in my opinion is absolutely 100% wrong, is, that she's passing the test on to Frodo. Like, I pass the test to you, Frodo Baggins. It's not what she meant. That's not what she says. First of all, you have to consider the source, right? J.R.R. Tolkien, okay, was a linguist. Not only was he a linguist, i.e. somebody who studies languages and how they work, right? He was a PhD. Okay, he taught this stuff at Oxford. Okay, he was a professor of language, right? You don't get any more expert than that, right? The man edited the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the dictionary that we use for figuring out what words mean. He was one of the people that made edits and revisions to that in his time, right? So if there is any one person on the planet, okay, that knew how to convey the messages that he wanted, okay, using language, this is the guy that knows how to do that. Okay. He is quite literally an expert in doing this. Okay. If he had meant for Galadriel to be passing the test on to Frodo, he would have been more blatant about it. And what I mean by that is the people making this argument that say, "Oh, well, what she means when she says I passed the test is that she means that she's passing the test on to Frodo." No, what they really mean to say is it's in order for their theory to have any weight and even be considered to fall within the realm of possibility or truth, at best, it would be an implication. It's implied that she's passing the test to Frodo by saying the phrase, I pass the test. Okay. It would be the implication is that she is passing the test to Frodo. Tolkien does not use that sort of implied narrative anywhere else in his works. Okay. He does not imply a character meant something that they didn't actually say. And again, this is a man who teaches and is an expert in language. He studied it, he has doctorates in it, he teaches it at Oxford University. He knows how to say what he wants to say. And since he doesn't use implied language anywhere else, when he needs to say something, he says it. Okay. To isolate this single instance alone and say, well, it's implied that she passes the test on to Frodo is disingenuous. It discards everything else Tolkien did, right? It flies in the face of it. So then there's that. Okay, that's argument number one. I would say you have to overcome that in order to get me on board with this theory. The second thing I would say is I happen to have it right here. Okay, there you go. There it is. And that's the actual chapter right there, or I should say that's the pages where this scene actually takes place. Okay, Galadriel after having that whole thing of I pass the test and will go into the West, she actually says that following that, she says, "In the morning you must depart, for we have both chosen." Okay, meaning what she's saying to Frodo, okay, is that you've chosen to be the ring bearer and you must leave tomorrow in order to do what you're doing, i.e., taking the ring to Mordor to destroy it. And I have chosen to not accept the ring. Therefore, you must leave in the morning. And she actually says that. She says, you must depart in the morning, for we have both chosen. That's the line. It's in the book. You don't have to believe me. Pick up your copy of Fellowship of the Ring. It is exactly on page 357. It is page 357. 357. Okay? She actually says that. We have both chosen. So no, she's not passing anything on to Frodo. She knows Frodo has already chosen to be the ring bearer. Okay? So that's point number two. Okay, is that within context of the scene. See, a lot of these articles, they take that section where she's, oh, in place of a dark lord, you would have a dark queen, but, not, beautiful and the foundations of the earth and stuff like that. And they take that out of context. They isolate that sort of little speech and leave it at that. And then they try to pick apart that meaning of the I passed the test. But within context, you understand that it's part of a bigger conversation. Okay, where she's talking about, she's often pondering, and she says this to Sam and Frodo because, she's talking with them this whole time, having a conversation, and she tells them that she's often pondered what she would do if the opportunity arose for her to get her hands on the ring. She literally prefaces that in the book, right? She prefaces that in the book. She says that she's often pondered what she would do should the ring come into her possession, or should she have access to the ring. Okay. So for her to suddenly turn around and be offered the ring, and then she's just going to have this vision of her becoming this dark queen, and then suddenly be like, no, I'm going to let you do it, thanks, and stuff like that. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is she says I pass the test in the same way. Trying to give a good example. If you've ever watched the Olympics, right? You ever watched like the gymnastics part of the Olympics? You'll have the gymnast will do their routine, and then they'll go off and stand on the side, usually with their coach or their teammates and stuff, and then they'll wait for the judges' score, right? And let's say you have this gymnast, they do their routine, they're waiting on the side, and the judges come down 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, right? Perfect score and stuff. Usually you'll see the gymnast will mouth something like, I won, or I did it and stuff like that. That's more to themselves, right? That you're speaking out loud to yourself, though. It's like your thoughts within your head being vocalized, okay? That's what happens with Galadriel here, because she comes out of this sort of, I don't want to say daze, but this sort of moment, right, where she's like dark Galadriel, right? And then she sort of, they even mentioned she sort of the light fade, the light from Nenya sort of isolates her, and everything else goes dark, and then she sort of shrinks back down to her normal Galadriel self, right? And she comes, and I think Kate Blanchett did a beautiful job showing like her reaction to that, right? And she comes out of that. Okay, and that's when she said she's not talking to Frodo. She's more like just trying to process what had just happened. And that's when she says, I pass the test. Meaning, yeah, I did this. Like it was offered up to me on a silver platter. It would have cost me my soul. I would have become this dark, terrible queen, right? But I passed the test. Meaning to myself. She's talking to herself. I passed the test. Okay? I passed the test. I will diminish and go into the west and remain Galadriel. Okay? So this interpretation that this person has is, again, it's flat out wrong. You have to overcome all of those things. You have to overcome Tolkien's expertise as somebody who's he's an expert in languages. You have to overcome that. You have to sort of buy into the idea that what she's saying is implied. She's not outright saying, Frodo, you have to do it. She's sort of implying that he has to do it. Like Frodo's supposed to know that that's the implication. Okay. You have to get past the context within that part of the book, within the conversations that happen right before and right after it, where she tells Frodo, you have to leave in the morning. We have both chosen, meaning Frodo has chosen. Okay, not she gave it to him, not you have to leave in the morning. This is the task I set before you. No, she's saying we have both chosen. She puts Frodo on par with her as a ring bearer. Okay? They've both chosen their fate, right? Not to mention, you also have to get past the fact that Galadriel knows why he's there. Galadriel knows because they told her in the book prior to this scene. They explain what happened to Gandalf, because that's when they show up there, after Gandalf, dies in Khazad-dûm, or Gandalf the Grey. And they show up there, and one of the first things that Celeborn has them do is relate the tale. What happened? Tell us what happened. And so the elves are singing a lament to Gandalf passing, and so on and so forth. She knows that he's on this quest. Not to mention, her nephew, Elrond, is the one that was there when Frodo was given the quest. So I'm sure she knows, right? So she knows that Frodo's there as part of his quest to get the ring to Mordor to destroy it. So why would she feel the need to give him the quest to get the ring to Mordor to destroy it if she knows that the only reason she's met him is because he's passing through on his way to Mordor to take the ring and destroy it? It just doesn't make any sense. It logically doesn't add up. So you have to get past all of those things in order to make me buy into this new interpretation of I passed the test means that she passes it on to Frodo. That is not what she's saying. I don't know why people keep repeating it. It's like the same, fallacious argument that people make with, like, well, why didn't they just take the eagles to Mordor? Gandalf told them that they should take the eagles when he says fly, you fools. It just shows a lack of comprehension of the English language and its proper use. That's literally, if you do not understand that when she says, I passed the test, I will diminish and go into the west and remain Galadriel, that she is speaking out loud to herself, and it is in the proper context, in the terms of proper use of the English language, which is something Tolkien would have done as an expert linguist. If you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, it's like they're trying to shoehorn this interpretation in because it lines up with Rings of Power. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Again, like I said, no hate to the person that put out this video. Okay, like I said, seems like a cool guy, and I checked out his channel, seems cool and stuff like that. But because his channel has a big reach and stuff like that, to put this out, I felt deserved at least a counter. Now, if somebody wants to reach out to him and be like, yo, dude, this guy Cutter sort of countered your argument and stuff like that, maybe if you guys want to debate it or something like that, that's fine. I would do that and stuff, but I don't want people going there being like, yo, I watched this dude Cutter and he said you're an idiot and stuff, because that's not what it, again, no personal attacks on this individual. I disagree with their assessment. I think it's wrong. I think because of the reach of their channel, it's going to give a lot of people the wrong idea and a misinterpretation of understanding that. And so that's why I'm countering it. So this way, if people decide to look it up or look on YouTube and see what people have to say about this, they'll at least hear one voice that says, not so much. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you like the video, like the video. If you feel like sharing the video, by all means, go ahead. If you haven't subscribed, I would hope you would consider subscribing. And if you have subscribed, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. 2023 is going to be kick-ass, folks. It's going to be a good one. We're getting closer to 1,000 slowly, and the momentum slowed, but there's always a down. This is, from what I've done my research, this is a slow time for YouTube overall, but so I want to get us to 1,000. That's like my own personal goal. This nothing special, but yeah, and that's it for now. I will see you on the next one. Remember, you beautiful badasses, be good, be safe, be awesome. And I'll see you soon. Peace.